Judd Legum is with us, the founder of Popular.info, former founding editor-in-chief of thinkprogress.org. Popular.info is the website, and his Twitter handle is Judd Legum, L-E-G-U-M. Judd, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Thanks for joining us. So, two topics that you've written about in the last this week. As you know, I subscribe to your newsletter, and anybody can. It's free. You can just go over to popular.info and subscribe to it. One is the fake news on Facebook piece that you did. I'd love you to explain, what's going on with regard to that. And then the second is you've done some follow-up reporting on this scam that the Trump campaign is running. So let's start with Facebook. An explosion of fake news on Facebook?
Yeah, this was a report. It was a pretty extensive report done by an international nonprofit, Avaz. And what they did was looked at all of 2019 so far, and then just took a look at stories that were officially deemed false by fact checkers. So a fairly conservative approach to this, because there's a lot of false information that, of course, the fact checkers never get to.
Right.
And they found that there's been at least 150 million views of fake U.S. political content, fake news about U.S. politics.
That's more than there are U.S. voters.
And, yeah, so enough to reach every single voter.
Yeah.
And, they kind of break that down, and it's interesting because it is about 2/3 of that are targeting Democrats, and about 1/3 of it is targeting Republicans. There is fake news that's targeting Republicans, but the majority of it is targeting Democrats, and this is a problem that is accelerating, both within this year. There's getting more and more of it. We'll probably see more of it as the election grows closer, and it's a bigger problem now, according to this report, than it was, in the months prior to the 2016 election. So right. It's a pretty big deal.
Now, when you say targeting Democrats, you're not talking about a Democratic candidate trying to reach Democratic voters. You're talking about Republicans or conservatives who are attacking Democrats. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Like one of the big stories was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants to ban motorcycles. Right? Which is not one of her proposals.
Right. No such thing.
But that was viewed 12 million times.
Wow. And that's not necessarily an ad, right? I mean, a lot of this is not advertising; it's people sharing false memes, basically.
Yeah. This isn't a look at the advertising. There's been a whole another kind of line of controversy around that because they're allowing politicians to do false ads. These are people who are just creating these fake pieces of news and distributing them via Facebook, and it's usually like a money-making scheme, right? So if you have a fake story about how a Democratic politician wants to ban motorcycles, and you get millions of people to view it on Facebook, and then a certain percentage of those clicks your website, and then you have advertisements on those websites, you can make a good amount of money from this type of fake news.
That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Now to the Trump campaign. I back in 2016, I guess it was, maybe 2015, I donated $5 to Donald Trump's campaign. And in fact, I typically will donate, a small amount of money to most of the campaigns that I'm really curious about or I want to follow. I just want to get on their email list. And to this day, I'm getting typically 4 or 5 emails a week from the Trump campaign asking for money.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, I'm signed up as Fred Flintstone. I've noticed that, dear Fred, the president wants to have lunch with you. Will you join us in Chicago? Will you join us in Atlanta? Was the one I think yesterday or the day before. We'll fly you there. We'll give you a meal. You'll have a nice time with the president. Blah, 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 and you can bring your spouse. And I've been seeing these things for months, but I've never seen anyone announced as the winner of one of these. You would expect that if there were winners, that they would be, highlighting that to get more people to participate.
Yeah, this is something that's been kind of digging at me for a long time, Tom. I've noticed the same thing. I follow these emails as well. And there were so many contests. Now, that's not unusual because it's an effective way to raise money. It was really popularized by Barack Obama. He had a huge kind of series of them in 2012 that he sort of used instead of a lot of high-dollar fundraisers. But as you said, people are really eager to get the photos out, right? Because it's a photo of a politician speaking to low-dollar donors, mixing in with regular folks, basically. Sure. But I noticed the same thing you did, which was that there were no photos ever released. I started digging into this, collected all the contests. There's been 16 so far. There's actually one that's supposed to happen tomorrow in Atlanta. And couldn't find any information about them. Then about a week ago, it was a week ago Monday, so almost 2 weeks ago now, there was one in Chicago, and I contacted the Washington Post reporter who was on the road with him there, figuring, well, maybe she can find out what the name of this person is or information about it because she's right there, and they'll just tell her because she's there with them. And she did ask, and they didn't tell her. So I was like, oh, this is very strange. So I put together all of the research, all of the information about the 15 contests that we don't know any information about them, and kind of just put it out there of, does anyone win these contests? I can't find any information. I don't see any photos. I don't see anything, any local news articles. I don't see any individuals who participated, talking about it online. I can't find anything. And the Trump campaign ignored me, didn't respond to me, but Vanity Fair picked it up. The Trump campaign told them, oh, there are winners of every contest, didn't provide any proof. And then yesterday in the Daily Caller, basically provided them with a couple of people they claimed were winners. One of whom had just met Trump at a rally in 2017, which was kind of not the point of my piece at all. But the other one did win a contest to have breakfast with Trump, but she told the Daily Caller that Trump did not show up to the breakfast.
Oh, geez.
He was not there. And then sometime later, she got to take a picture with him. But if you look at the advertisements and all of the marketing, in this one there were at least 4 emails about this. There were hundreds of Facebook ads about this one particular breakfast, about how Trump really wanted to have breakfast with you. There was one, the subject line was breakfast for 2. And so anyway, it basically, they've exposed themselves that at least this one contest is a fraud. And if this is the best example that they can come up with after being subject to some scrutiny on this, it doesn't really speak well to the experiences of the supposed winners of the 14 other contests.
Well, given what snowflakes these guys are,
I do think this is a potentially
big story.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. Given what
I think it's a potentially a big story. It's potentially a big fraud.
Yeah, a huge fraud. Given what huge snowflakes these guys are, though, I mean, Sarah Sanders complaining about somebody calling her out in a restaurant, and, Fox News talking about it for a whole week and all this kind of stuff. I'm surprised that they didn't at least put out the excuse that, the radical left is so hostile to people who like Donald Trump that we didn't want to post their names for fear that their neighbors would, blow up their houses or something, or whatever. I mean, they're not even trying?
They didn't really do that. There's ways of doing it. I've seen some of the campaigns that will just do, they'll do a photo, they'll do photos, and then they'll just do first names, just if they don't want to release the full name, but they weren't doing that. So I think that might have gotten them into some trouble. But they are, attacking me and my reporting, saying it's fake news because of these 2 winners. But the fact is, there's no evidence that anyone has had one of these meals with Trump, and the one person who we know won one of the contests also did not have a deal
Is there a legal attempt to hold him responsible for this fraud?
You're legally required to release the names of the winners, which they haven't done.
Right.
But I don't know if anyone has enforced it yet. Maybe the New York State Attorney General can get involved.
There you go. Judd Legum, popular.info is the website and the newsletter. Judd, thanks so much.